So here's the question. When people think about, all right, I'm going to use direct outbound prospecting as my method to go out there and start generating and acquiring clients, the question often comes up with, well, how long is it going to take? Is there anything I can do to speed up the process? Because, I mean, let's face it, most agents are really, really impatient and they want results now. My argument, Ben, is that direct outbound to the consumer via the phone is the fastest and the most efficient way to do that. And so in this episode, we're going to kind of break that down. So I guess to tee this up for the audience, can you share with them the conversation you were having with the agent the other day when you guys were going back and forth about his business? And then we can kind of break this down for the audience so they can have some good takeaways.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with an agent who was looking at others' results of students we were working with on a leaderboard that we have within our community. And they couldn't wrap their head around the results that person was getting. And I said, well, great. This is why we track. Let's look at your numbers. And we looked at him and he had been prospecting and making between 10 and 15 contacts a day for, about 90 days. Okay. And then he was looking at other people that also were on the same trajectory time-wise. However, they were making 40, 50 contacts a day. And he said, is this even possible? Right? How are they doing this? And the challenge that I asked him, I said, okay, let's forget about days and let's just look at a total year. Okay. And if you knew that for you to hit your goal, well, forget a year. Let's focus on the contacts. Let's say that to hit your goal, you had to make 10,000 contacts. Okay. And I said, you could get there in 6 months, or you could get there in 5 years. Which one would you rather be? And that's what I want to talk about in this video is like the benefits of potentially speeding that timeline up and the huge benefits of doing it, front loading it.
No doubt. So here's this. Oh, I love this conversation because I think it brings so much clarity for the audience's sake that they're going to absolutely love this. Let's break down what you just said so people listening or watching the show can get their first big aha. So everybody's ratios are different. Everybody has a different sales skill set. So their ability to convert is way, way, way different. But on average, okay, I'll kind of just walk you through something really quick. So on average, and by the way, I'm not sure if this is for you or not. You can decide. But if you're a real estate agent, you're watching this video and you're not earning at least $100,000 per year, you feel like you're overworked, you're underpaid, maybe even underappreciated, perhaps it's time to talk. If you're serious about growing your real estate sales business and you're open to having a conversation to determine if working with me as your coach makes sense or not, then click the link in the description beneath this video or simply go to reverseselling.com to book a call. We can see, okay, for a closed transaction to actually occur is about 250 contacts. Now, that's the framework. Because to your point, it's like, okay, if we use that's what you were referring to. So I want the audience to say, okay, fine. Because what I've always told an agent is the number of people that you talk to daily will result in the number of homes you sell annually. And so, right? So here's what I mean by this and what you were saying to this agent, which I think is such great coaching. It puts things in perspective. So if somebody just says, let's just use the magic number that I think a lot of people want to earn in this business, which is that $100,000 in income. And we'll just use simple math to say, okay, if they want to make $100,000, and I know the analyticals in the comments always like, is that net or is that gross? So I guess we can break this down even more. Okay. We'll say if an agent wants to net $100,000, they're on a 20% split. And then they've got to pay some taxes. They've got some expenses, et cetera, et cetera. This is not going to be perfect. Okay. So analyticals out there, I checked the math, Brandon, and you're wrong. You're off by $14,000. I get it. I'm just conceptually. Let's just say they had to generate $150,000 in GCI, okay? So actually, I'll share my screen so the audience can, this will help them even better, actually. Let's see if this will work. Can you see that?
Perfect.
All right. So their goal, right? I'll just start this clean. Their goal is to say, okay, I want to make $100,000 net income. This is what I want for me and my family. Okay, perfect. So then the target, the revenue target, what you have to actually do is 150,000. So if the average commission, yeah, but this is on the last video, not to get onto a tangent, but in my market, the average commission isn't 10,000. Just do the math. Whatever your market is, I'm being conceptual here. I can't make a video for all 50 states and all 250. You guys get it. So on average, it's a $10,000 commission. If yours is a $5,000 commission, do the math. So this means that this agent, Ben, has to sell 15 houses. And this is exactly what you were talking about. This is why this is so freaking powerful, because it brings a sense of clarity that most agents don't have. So remember, it's about 250 conversations or contacts. Ben, what is a contact? A contact is simply a conversation with a decision maker. So in this person's scenario, 250 contacts multiplied by 15, right? So 250 times 15 home sales means they need 3,750 contacts to do that. To your point now, here's where this comes in. That agent has a couple of choices to make. They have a couple of choices to make, because if you take 3,750 divided by the average working day, take 3,750 audience and divide it by 15 or divide it by 240 working days. What do you get, Ben? What's the answer?
16.
Yeah. It's like 15.625, right?
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Did you see it? 15 contacts per day equaled 15 home sales. So what you are coaching that agent on is a couple things. If the agent makes 7 contacts a day, the numbers still play out. They won't sell 15 homes. They'll sell 7, and then they'll sell 7. And you can speed that up even more. So it's a matter of, okay, if you want to make 100 grand, it's going to take 3,700 conversations. However you want to split that up. You could do that in 6 months if you want. You could do that in a year. You could do that in 2 years. Most agents do that in 4 years, right? Because if you say, okay, most agents are selling 4 houses a year. Why? Well, it's because they typically are having 3 or 4 conversations per day on average. So it takes them to have 3,700 conversation. It takes them 3 or 4 years, which then makes sense because the average agent is selling 4 houses a year. So 15 divided by 4. Yeah, that's what it ends up being, right? 4 times 4, that's 16 units. You were telling the agent, listen, it doesn't have to be that way. There are some agents that we're coaching that are having 30, 40, 50 contacts per day. That's how they're able to sell 30, 40, 50, 60 homes per calendar year. Correct?
That's right. So part 2 of this, right, is if you are getting started and it takes about 2 hours to make 15 contacts, and that's what your business plan says, right? What are you doing with the rest of your time? What level of intensity are you taking with prospecting? And that was the conversation. Like, if you want the benefits of this compounding and growing skills pipeline, right, your business quicker, then maybe you do more just for that side of things, right? And it will average out where you're going to close more deals, but also you'll get the benefit of your skills growing a lot faster.
That's right, because the learning's in the doing, right? So now you're talking about front loading. So that's exactly right. So when there's an agent who doesn't have a lot of business, they don't have a lot of clients, they're not managing this whole inventory of 10, 15, 20 listings, they don't have anything going on. The argument, the question that we would ask somebody if I was coaching an agent is, okay, what are the vital signs of the business, right? It's prospect, lead follow-up, present. These are the only 3 things that drive a business that actually make you money in this business. how much of your days are spent doing those three things. In the early days, you don't have a lot of appointments because it takes about 90 days to actually build a pipeline that starts to generate listing appointments. For that first 90 days, what Ben is talking about is you could do a lot more than 10 or 15 contacts a day. I mean, what else is there to do? And so we see this with agents that are very, very hungry, that really want this badly, is they're like, well, I don't have anything else to do but to prospect. I don't have any leads, so there's no lead follow-up. So this is what they do for their first 90 days. They start doing 50 contacts a day. Now, it takes 7. You can make 7 contacts per hour if you're really, really focused, right? So 50 divided by 7 takes them all day. Takes them about 7 hours, right? That's what it takes them. It takes them about 7 hours of actual work. You have to get breaks and lunch and et cetera. 7 hours of prospecting for the first 90 days to front load this. The question, the reality is, how many agents are actually willing to do that? Now, they have the knowledge. They understand it conceptually. They understand it intellectually, Ben. But emotionally, when they put their butt in the seat and they start making the calls and they start dealing with all this emotional baggage, all this head trash of making the calls, emotionally, they can't handle it. So then that's what ticks off creative avoidance, and I got to do this, and I'm distracted, etc. And then all the excuses start to surface.
Absolutely. Yeah. I just look at this and I think, okay, if you could spend 2 hours a day to get to 15 contacts, or you could do what your competition is doing in 3 weeks, in 1 week, the growth and the trajectory that you'll put yourself on, you'll be far, far ahead of the competition.
Yeah. And the easiest way to think about this is where I came up with this daily 30. I think it's very doable for anybody listening or watching this show to practice the daily 30. The daily 30 is just simply 30 conversations per day. It's 7,200 conversations over the course of a full year. You are going to win at such a high level. And the easiest way to break down the daily 30, this is why I really try to make things really simple for people, is to pick 5 lead sources and do 6 conversations under each lead pillar to make this so simple. So if you were to just pick 5, let's just pick any 5. Let's just say you're going to do for sale by owners. Let's just say you're going to do for rent by owners. Let's say you're going to do absentee owners. Let's just say you're going to do downsizers. And let's just say you're going to do probate. The easiest way to do this is to say, okay, I need to have 6 conversations with for sale by owners every day. I need to have 6 with for rent by owners, 6 with absentee, 6 with downsizers, 6 with probate. It splits this up into these mini little productive sprints, we call them when we coach an agent. It's like you can sprint for 1 hour or 45 minutes and have your 5 or 6 conversations per lead category. Then what? You get a break.
That's right.
Take a walk, grab a cup of coffee, grab water, get some mental clarity, build up some mental toughness, and then do another sprint. And you could do that 4 or 5 times per day, and you can get those 30 conversations really, really easily.